It's game week 28 in the Premier League, and here are my predictions. Let's get straight into the Friday night game, which is Newcastle United versus Aston Villa, and it's really hard to look at this game without considering the fact that these two teams have gone in completely different directions over the last few years, and there's one man kind of at the root of that in my view. As a Newcastle supporter, that is Steve Bruce. Newcastle fans hate him, want him out. He has been dreadful for the club, no doubt about that. I don't care what anyone says. But Villa fans, they fought to get Steve Bruce out, and who can blame them? Look at their trajectory since Steve Bruce left. They've done nothing but rise under Dean Smith, and he's done a really good job. They're now in the top half of the Premier League. They're probably going to finish in the top half this season, which is fantastic for their second season back. And yeah, they go from strength to strength. Obviously, they're without Jack Grealish, which is a big miss for them. However, Newcastle United are playing so badly at the moment that it's really hard to see how a team with such a lack of confidence and belief and direction can do anything in this match. Under Steve Bruce, Newcastle have won 2 of their last 18 matches. Most clubs would have sacked him by now, but this is not a normal club. This is Mike Ashley's Newcastle United, and it's really hard to see anything other than a pretty comfortable Aston Villa win on Tyneside. I'm going to say Villa win this one 2-0. So let's move on to the Saturday games, and it's Leeds v Chelsea at Elland Road. Chelsea are on a brilliant run since sacking Frank Lampard under Thomas Tuchel. They haven't lost yet. They've played 11 matches. They've only conceded 2 goals. They look great. I watched them play Liverpool at Anfield the other day, and they didn't really have to do loads in an attacking sense, but they were comfortably the better team. They looked really solid. Last season under Frank Lampard, I remember saying, they conceded so many goals away from home. They have completely sorted that problem out. Apart from Manchester City, you have to say Chelsea look like the best team in the league right now. And Leeds, on the other hand, they are doing Leeds fans will be delighted with their season. They have played some really good football. Bielsa has them playing this really nice, attractive attacking game. They've actually tightened up at the back recently, so they were conceding loads of goals earlier in the season. They're not conceding as many goals now, but I cannot see anything other than a Chelsea win on this one, and I think it's going to be 2-0 to Chelsea. If you're enjoying this video, please hit the thumbs up button. Palace v West Brom. Now this is this week's version of West Brom v Newcastle last week. The game that no one wants to watch because 2 really, really bad teams. I mean, West Brom they deserve to be where they are. They're a terrible team. They're not good to watch. They've conceded the most goals in the league, and they don't really have any stars on the pitch. There's just nothing special about West Brom, and they will go down, I think. Palace, they're disappointing. I've been saying this for about a year now under Roy Hodgson. Their trajectory is downwards, and I don't know whether that even bears out. I've not looked at the league positions. I don't know if that fully bears out in the league position at the moment. But the feeling about Palace for me is just a team that is at best stagnant, and they just seem to have lots of poor results as they go through. But in this game, I think they'll raise it enough to beat West Brom. And I think where Newcastle failed to attack West Brom last week, I think Palace will do the opposite. And I think they will attack West Brom. And I think if you attack West Brom and you take them on and you're brave and you take your chances, you will beat them. I'm not sure how many goals will be in this game because Palace don't score loads of goals. So I'm going to give the win to Palace, but just by a single goal to 0. But I do appreciate that it could be more than that. So at Goodison Park, it's Everton v Burnley in a match that a couple of years ago no one would ever have wanted to watch, but this season Everton have looked brilliant. You can't deny the job that Ancelotti's done is fantastic, and the money that they spent, fair enough, they spent a lot of money, but they've spent it well and they are getting results. They are pushing for a European place, and they will really want to get that 5th spot. They might even believe they can get Champions League football. I think that's going to be beyond them personally, but you never know. They're currently 1 point ahead of Spurs, 3 points ahead of Liverpool, and 2 points behind West Ham. And you've got to fancy Everton's chances in this game. They're playing a Burnley team who are very, very poor. They've only scored 20 goals this season. Burnley do look a poor side though this season. They don't look quite as organised and great as they have done in previous seasons. I don't know if great's the right word to use about Burnley, but you know what I mean. Normally they're quite solid mid-table team. This season they feel worse than that. They feel like they could easily end up in a relegation scrap if things don't go their way. But apart from losing heavily to Spurs recently, they do still keep games quite tight. That said, I think that Everton will find a way through and win this game 2-0. So, Fulham v Man City at Craven Cottage. Fulham look like a team very determined to stay up, and they are playing with confidence, and that is credit to Scott Parker and his staff. And even though my team, Newcastle, are in danger of being overtaken by Fulham, I have to tip my hat to them, because I think that they are doing what you would want any club to do in that situation. They are fighting for every single point. They even went to Anfield last week and won, which no one really expected, even though Liverpool were on a terrible run of form. But unfortunately for Fulham, this week they're playing Man City. Now, Man City, they obviously lost to Man United last weekend, but they did bounce back midweek against Southampton quite comfortably. Even though that game was quite comfortable in the end, their first half performance wasn't that amazing. So Man City, they've got work to do in terms of getting that performance back to the level that Pep will want his team to be at. I think they'll win this game quite comfortably in the end, though. I think it'll be 3-1 to Man City. So, Southampton v Brighton at St Mary's, and this is a game with two teams struggling from the South Coast. It's a huge game, but for Brighton in particular, this is massive. They are currently level on 26 points with Fulham. They're only out of the relegation zone on goal difference, and that will be something that they will be extremely worried about. And they're playing a team who are very, very dodgy in defence. They've conceded 49 goals, Southampton. Only West Brom have conceded more goals this season, and for Brighton that is a great thing, because Brighton don't score enough goals. Yet I've always watched them and thought there's going to be a game that comes along at some point where Brighton will put their chances away and they will win a game fairly comfortably. For me, everything points towards a Brighton win in this game. I think they'll get their act together. They're playing okay. They will finally find a way to score goals and they will win this game 2-1. Next up, Leicester v Sheffield United, and not really that much to say about this game. Brendan Rodgers obviously doing a brilliant job at Leicester, you have to say that, and they are on track for a Champions League spot. I think they'll get it. I don't think they're going to fall away like they have done previously, where their form's dipped off towards the end of the season. I think they'll get the job done, and they're playing Sheffield United this week. There's not a lot to say about Sheffield United. Yes, they've kind of looked a little bit better in recent weeks, but ultimately they're down. I think they know they're down, and I think this will be another game where the home team will just win fairly comfortably. I think the fact is that Leicester's pace and movement will break down Sheffield United quite easily, and I think it'll be a comfortable 3-0 win for Leicester. Arguably the game of the week this week is the North London derby, Arsenal v Spurs. Obviously not as much riding on it as in previous years, possibly when both teams were heading for the Champions League spots. But Spurs, this is massive for Spurs, because Spurs really need a win if they want to keep in touch with the other teams around them, trying to push for those European places. And Spurs and Jose Mourinho won't have given up on the Champions League dream just yet, but it's going to be very tough for them to get there. Again, a bit like Everton, not sure they're going to be able to do that at this stage. Arsenal have got better as the season's gone on, but their form is mixed. It's it's up and down, and I think that is a classic sign of a mid-table team, which is what Arsenal are at the moment, unfortunately for them. Logic dictates that Spurs should win this game fairly comfortably, especially with the way that Bale and Kane have been playing recently, finding form, looking so dangerous going forward, and Arsenal just being Arsenal at the moment, not being anything special. Some good games, some bad games, nothing amazing. But this is a derby match, and that always makes things a little bit less clear. This is going to be a really close and exciting game, and I think there will be goals for both teams in this match, and I think that Spurs are going to edge this game 3-2. So, Manchester United versus West Ham United at Old Trafford, and a tricky game for Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's men. Not a game that they'll be relishing playing, I don't think. I think that after beating Man City last weekend, obviously confidence should be pretty high and they'll feel good about themselves. But from what I see, there's division in the Manchester United fan base about whether Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is the man to take them forward or do what he's doing. I've said for a long time, and I stand by this, second place flatters Man United. I don't think that they're as good as second sounds. I think that there's issues in that team. Interestingly, people say that their defence is the issue, and I do think that needs to be improved if they want to be genuine title contenders next season. But actually, if you look at their recent form, the defence has been keeping their side of the bargain. They've not conceded that many goals recently. What's interesting is their attacking players have not been scoring enough goals. So that's where the problems come. They've had a lot of games where they've not scored goals or only scored one goal, and that needs to change for Manchester United. And I think they'll need more than one goal to beat West Ham. I genuinely believe that. I do think that West Ham will give Manchester United a very tough game. And like I said, if either of these two teams scores 2 goals, I think they win the game. But I'm going to say neither of those teams score 2 goals. I think it'll be 1-1. And the final game this week is Wolves versus Liverpool from Molineux. And Liverpool are delighted that they're not playing at Anfield this week after an historic run of bad form at home. 6 home losses in a row. Jurgen Klopp will be so happy that they have an away game, because seriously, this will just take the pressure off them, because the next time they play at Anfield, there's just going to be so much build up and talk about the record and can they undo this record and blah 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 blah. It's going to be a nightmare for them the next time they step out on that pitch. Now there's so much pressure built up on that moment until they win a game at Anfield again. That's all anyone's going to talk about. So this game at Molineux is helpful for Liverpool in my view. But Liverpool seem to have lost their identity from the last 2 seasons. They're basically now fighting for that 5th place and hoping that they can win the Champions League again in order to get back into the Champions League. It's such a shame for Wolves that Jimenez got injured. I think had he stayed fit, they'd found their way into the season, and they have looked better sort of since the turn of the year. They lack that true goal scorer that would help them boost them up the league that Jimenez really is. They're still a good team though, Wolves. I do believe that they're kind of a team that are better than their league position suggests. And this is a game that I think genuinely could go either way. Liverpool's confidence will play a big part in the outcome of this game. I'm going to say that they get back on track though. They won midweek in Europe, and that will have helped them. And I think that they'll go to Molineux on Monday night, and I think that they will beat Wolves narrowly 2-1. Thanks for watching this video. If you've enjoyed it, please hit the like button. That will help me massively. I'll see you really soon for another video.